Hi, you guys. Okay, Duke chapter 3. Here we go. It's called Duke to the Defense. Later that same day, June came running out of her classroom. Look, she waved her spelling test. A gold star. She twirled on a tippy toe. I didn't miss a word. She spun around and around like a little ballerina in her music box. That's great. Hobie snagged her mid twirl. Don't you want to hurry home and tell Mom? Okay, she started to prance like a pony, which was also embarrassing, but at least she was moving toward home, not spinning in one spot. Hobie glanced over his shoulder. Catherine was running mother to her mother's DeSoto. Other kids lined up for the bus. Hobie cocked his head a little bit. He could almost hear Scooter making that day's rule for the walk home. We step on every crack, he might say, or we've got to crow like roosters on the corner. Scooter's favorite game was Hit O Heap. If either boy spotted a real junker car rattling down the street, he popped the other one in the arm. Scooter was loaded with ideas, and Hobie was great at going along with them. He took one last look around to make sure that Scooter wasn't going to leap out from behind the building, howling like a hyena at the prank he'd played. But there was no Scooter. Hobie didn't see Max anywhere either, or thank goodness Mitch. I wrote a letter in school today, June announced. Which letter? Hobie teased. E? A? June punched him in the arm. A real letter, she said, to Scooter. Do you want to hear it? Sure, he said, though he wasn't so sure. June fished out a piece of paper from her book bag. Dear Scooter, she read, I wish your father wasn't so good at building boats. Then you wouldn't have moved. I wish you were here, even if you do pull on my pigtails. Love, June. June cocked her head. Is that a good letter? Yeah, Hobie cleared his throat. Yeah, that's a real good letter. As I turn the page. Yeah, Hobie cleared his throat. That's a real good letter. She didn't mean to, but June made him feel even worse about that day. It wasn't just Mitch calling him chicken. What about that look on that Catherine had given him? She probably wouldn't choose him for dodgeball team in PE anymore. He picked up the pace. He wanted to get home to Duke. At least he still had Duke. And there he was at the front door, barking and licking the minute Hobie stepped through the door. Hobie gave him a big hug. Hey, buddy, how are you? He changed into his dungarees and devoured a couple of Mom's special oatmeal cookies warm from the oven. Duke got a couple of bites in too. Going out, Mom, Hobie called. Duke bounded after him, determination radiating in the very tips of his coat. He'd been left behind that morning. He was not going to be left behind again. Hobie hopped on his Schwinn, and off they went. Duke grinned as he loped along, keeping pace with Hobie as he rode to the playfield. Watch this. Hobie pushed back on the pedals and engaged the coaster brakes. I'm going in for a landing, just like the hop. The bike careened its way, and that sorry, the the bike careened this way and that as Hobie executed his maneuvers. CX4 calling the tower. CX4 calling the tower. That's what Hop Harrigan said at the start of each radio program. Hop was an ace pilot, like Dad, except he flew the experimental CX4, and Dad flew a B-24. He named it Lily Bess, too. Hobie's legs slowed as he thought of Dad. Every spring, since before Hobie was born, Dad and Uncle Trig went up to Alaska to fish. For months at a time, it'd be just Hobie, June, and Mom, like it was now. What was different about now was that Dad was in war. He had said piloting was piloting, whether you were steering a boat or a plane, but there weren't any Germans shooting at him when he was out on the Lily Bess. Lately, a day didn't go by without an article in the paper about pilot having to bail out somewhere over Europe. Even aces like Dad. That worry wore away at Hobie like salt water on a wooden hull. A sharp bark cut through Hobie's thoughts. Duke's squirrel bark. He charged around Hobie, zooming off across the playfield, intent on one thing, catching a squirrel. Duke! Hobie dropped his bike and ran after him. Even though he knew it was hopeless, that dog could not resist squirrels. Come! Hobie followed the barking into the woods at the edge of the field. Duke! Here! His only answer was rat-tat-tat of barks. Duke would come back when he was tired. Hobie decided he'd best go retrieve his bike. It was gone. Hobie looked around. A man in an overcoat and a fedora was walking a Doberman Pinscher. Did you see a bike lying here? Hobie asked. The man gestured behind Hobie. There, rolling down the sidewalk, was Mitch Mitchell. Get off, Hobie hollered. That's mine. Finders keepers. Mitch pedaled faster. Hobie picked up his pace. He snagged a part of Mitch's jacket, and the bike wobbled. Mitch shook him off. Give it back. Hobie ran harder. When I feel like it, Mitch called over his shoulder. He bumped the bike over a tree root. Yahoo! Young man, the Doberman's master called. That's enough. You've had your fun. Yeah, come back here, Hobie yelled. Come back, Mitch repeated. Okay. He wrenched the bike around sharply, legs pumping like pistons, and headed straight at Hobie. Hobie jumped aside and at the last minute, grabbing for the handlebars, he missed. As Mitch whizzed past, he kicked at Hobie's knee. Pain shot through Hobie's leg, and he crumpled into a heap. Then there was a blur of fur, and Mitch was hollering, Call him off! Call him off! Men with the Doberman came running. Duke gripped Mitch's pant leg in his teeth. Duke! Hobie had never seen him do anything like this before. No! A deep growl rumbled in Duke's chest. His ears perked to alert, as if he knew Hobie was in danger. That dog just about bit me. Mitch tried to get off the bike, a difficult feat with the dungarees caught in a German Shepherd's vise. You saw it, didn't you? He turned to the man. Drop! Hobie scrambled to his feet. Duke, drop! Duke let go of Mitch's pant leg. Mitch scrambled away. Down! Hobie gave the hand signal along with the command. Duke obeyed. He went down, but his brown eyes stayed locked on his target. It was clear he intended to protect Hobie from Mitch, no matter what. The man picked up Hobie's bike. It takes a special person to be able to train a strong animal like that. He wheeled the bike over to Hobie. He's your dog, I assume. Mutt is more like it, Mitch grumbled, brushing off his pants. Hobie nodded, taking his bike from the man. My name's Rasmussen. The man stuck out his hand and Hobie reached over the handlebars to shake, saying, Hobie Hansen. But Mr. Rasmussen's Doberman sat quietly by his side. If you didn't know dogs, you'd think he was asleep with his eyes open. But the muscle twitching in his left shoulder signaled that the Dobie was ready for whatever command Mr. Rasmussen would give him next. This is my dog, Ludwig. The dog's head cocked slightly at his name. Well, he's my dog for a little while. He's shipping out soon, going to work for Uncle Sam for the duration. Mr. Rasmussen fingered Ludwig's pointy ears. I'm going to miss this big galoot. He pulled a handkerchief from his pocket and passed it over his eyes. But I could hardly keep him back, not when he could save some brave soldier's life. He repocketed his handkerchief. My brother's in the Marines. Mitch took a hesitant step toward Ludwig. They have a couple of messenger dogs in their unit. Go ahead, you can pet him. But let him smell you first, Mr. Rasmussen showed Mitch what to do. Dogs are doing lots of important jobs for the war effort, he said. Though most stay right here, guarding the coastline or plants like Boeing. Mitch scratched under Ludwig's chin. Hobie rolled his bike forward and back a few times. I better get home, he said. But Mr. Rasmussen kept talking, and it would be rude to leave. In fact, I've become such a believer, I signed on to recruit other dogs. He tilted his hat back. I don't suppose you'd consider lending your dog there. Hobie looked at Duke. Well, Mitch scoffed. Him? Do anything like that? He tucked his hands in his armpits and flapped his arms. Hobie wished Mitch would beat it. This is no easy decision, Mr. Rasmussen said. Trust me, I know. He paused. I thought long and hard about sending Ludwig. Hobie's shoulders loosened a bit. But a dog like that, Mr. Rasmussen inclined, his head toward Duke, already so well trained, well, he'd be like the prize to the Cracker Jack box for the army. The whole time Mr. Rasmussen had been talking, he'd been stroking Ludwig's head. You'd have to be blind not to see how much he cared about that dog, almost as much as Hobie cared about Duke. It couldn't have been easy for him, not one bit. I don't know, Hobie said. He did want to help. He did. Tell you what, Mr. Rasmussen pulled a business card from his pocket. Think it over. This is my number. If you decide to donate Duke, give me a call. There's a train going out this weekend, and he and Ludwig could both be on it. Hobie glanced at the card. Olin Rasmussen, Assistant Regional Director, Dogs for Defense, telephone. He put the card in his jacket pocket. Bye now, boys, Mr. Rasmussen walked on, Ludwig trotting smartly at his heels. He should have saved his breath, said Mitch. You don't have what it takes, not a baby like you. Hobie threw his leg over his bike. Running home to get your teddy bear? Mitch threw the words like a punch. No, just getting out of here so Duke doesn't catch your fleas. Hobie stomped on the pedals and began to ride. Whoop, 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 Mitch called after him. Hobie and Duke sped for home together, as they'd done hundreds of times before, but something was different for Hobie. Like a record with a scratch in it, Mr. Rasmussen's story played over and over in his head and in his heart. His Are You Doing Everything You Can heart. All right, see you guys tomorrow.